Welcome to my channel. I still remember the exact moment everything changed. It wasn't a gradual shift or a creeping suspicion. It was instantaneous, shocking, and completely disorienting. I had been rummaging through my sister's room, something I'd always promised myself I'd never do, when I saw it, a sleek, crimson lipstick sitting on her vanity, glowing almost like it had been waiting for me. The color was mesmerizing, impossibly rich, the kind of red that seemed to have its own heartbeat. Just one swipe, I muttered to myself. I barely even knew why I was holding it. Maybe curiosity, maybe boredom, maybe something I didn't dare admit even to myself. I twisted the cap, and the smell hit me, sweet, floral, intoxicating. It was so unlike anything I'd ever smelled before, and before I could think twice, I applied it to my lips. At first, nothing. I blinked, looked in the mirror, and thought I'd imagined it. But then I noticed my reflection. Something was off. My lips shimmered unnaturally, fuller, softer, impossibly perfect. I touched them with trembling fingers, staring at the mirror like it was a portal to another world. And then it started. My face tingled, a strange warmth spreading from my lips to my cheeks, my nose, even my eyes. My jawline softened. My skin. It was glowing, smooth, flawless. My brown eyes suddenly seemed larger, more expressive, almost pleading. I gasped, taking a step back, my heart hammering in my chest. The reflection staring back at me wasn't me. It couldn't be. My chest tightened as I realized. It was my sister. Not literally, but somehow, impossibly, I looked exactly like her. Every curve, every angle, every tiny freckle. It was as if the lipstick had rewritten me into her mirror image. No, this can't be real, I whispered, shaking my head, but the reflection mimicked me perfectly. My own voice sounded strange, higher, softer. I clutched the edges of the vanity, dizzy, my thoughts racing. It's just a trick. Some kind of prank? But it wasn't. My sister, the person I'd laughed with, fought with, and sometimes envied, was now my face. My body was still mine, yes, but my features, my expression. Every detail had shifted, sculpted by some magic I didn't understand. Panic surged. I staggered back, tripping over the carpet, fumbling at the walls for support. How is this even happening? My mind raced, impossible scenarios forming and shattering. Maybe I was dreaming. Maybe I'd gone insane. Maybe this was some cruel optical illusion. But my reflection smiled. And it wasn't my smile. It was hers, my sister's. That knowing, teasing smile I'd seen 100 times. I froze. Tears pricked my eyes. Fear, disbelief, and an odd flicker of fascination mixed into a chaotic storm inside me. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands, snapping selfies, desperate to capture proof. Anything. The photos were undeniable. My sister's face. My lips, now impossibly red, glistened in every frame. My fingers flew over the screen, scrolling, comparing, panicking. This wasn't Photoshop. This was real. Somewhere deep inside, I knew I had to hide it. My parents, my friends, they couldn't see me like this. And yet, a small, guilty thrill tickled my chest. My sister's beauty. It was intoxicating. I'd envied her for years, and now, impossibly, I had a taste of it. I sank to the floor, my knees shaking. How could a single lipstick do this? Magic? A curse? I didn't know, and I didn't care to understand yet. All I knew was that I was trapped, my face, my features, my reflection. Completely transformed into someone else, someone beautiful, someone I had always secretly wanted to be. And the worst, or maybe the most terrifying, part? I had no idea how long it would last. Minutes? Hours? Days? Weeks? As I stared at myself, frozen in fear and awe, I whispered to the mirror, "Okay, think. Calm down. Figure this out." But calm was impossible. My hands shook, my chest heaved, and the lipstick glimmered in the light as if mocking me. This wasn't just a makeover. This was my life, rewritten in an instant. And somehow, deep down, I knew there was no turning back, not entirely. For the first time, I felt a strange, electric thrill. The fear coiling in my stomach was laced with curiosity. What would it feel like to be her? To walk in her shoes, look like her, live even a single moment as her? I didn't have time to answer that question. The door creaked behind me, and my sister's voice called out, cheerful and unsuspecting, "Hey, have you seen my lipstick?" I froze. My heart hammered so loudly I was sure she could hear it. I clutched the lipstick like a lifeline and whispered to myself, "Don't let her see. Whatever you do, don't let her see." And just like that, my weekend had begun. Forced, unplanned, and utterly terrifying. I was about to live as someone else. And I had no idea if I could survive it, or if I even wanted to. I thought hiding in my room would buy me time, but reality hit faster than I expected. My sister's lipstick had done more than change my face. It had rewritten how the world would see me. And the world didn't wait. The first real test came when I had to leave the house. Every mirror, every reflective surface mocked me. My reflection smiled back, her smile, but it was my body now, trembling and unsure. Clothes felt different. Even my hands looked delicate and foreign. My sneakers pressed oddly against my feet, as though trying to remind me they belonged to someone else. I tried to avoid the kitchen, hoping my parents wouldn't notice, but of course, my mom appeared as if summoned by fate. She froze. Her eyes widened, scanning my face with a mixture of confusion and disbelief. Honey," she started, her voice cautious. "Is that you?" I panicked, stumbling over my words. Nothing. I'm experimenting." The lie sounded pathetic, even to my own ears. My cheeks burned, flaming red, though I knew the blush didn't come from embarrassment alone. My whole body felt foreign. She frowned. Experimenting, with what? I opened my mouth to speak, but no explanation made sense. How do you explain that your sister's lipstick just turned you into her clone? That this wasn't a joke, a filter, or a nightmare, but something terrifyingly, vividly real? Makeup, I finally mumbled. Weak, pathetic. The words sounded hollow even as I said it. Mom's frown deepened, suspicion clear in her gaze, but she didn't press. She left the room, muttering something about teenage nonsense, leaving me in a pit of anxiety. My heartbeat was deafening. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even think clearly. School was worse. I debated calling in sick, but curiosity, and some reckless streak in me, made me go. I hoped no one would notice. I hoped. But no one missed it. Wait, is that? My best friend, Jake, froze mid-step, eyes widening like saucers. I tried to laugh it off. New look? Feeling festive. He stared, then whispered under his breath, "You look exactly like..." Oh my God. I wanted to crawl into the floor. My body felt heavy, every movement awkward. I was suddenly aware of how different my stride was, how delicate my hands seemed when I gestured, how every step felt scrutinized. People whispered. Heads turned. Phones were subtly aimed in my direction, snapping photos. Every glance, every smirk, every whisper fueled my panic. I was living someone else's life, and the world knew it. Classroom interactions were a nightmare. Questions directed at me made my voice shake. Yeah. I think. I'd start, only to hear my voice higher, softer, almost musical, foreign. A few girls giggled, a few boys exchanged looks. I could feel my identity cracking. Lunch was worse. Sitting alone in the cafeteria, I caught glimpses of my reflection in the glass windows. Every time I looked, I flinched. Her lips, her eyes, that perfect cheekbone structure. It was my sister, staring back at me. I felt like a stranger trapped in my own skin. By the afternoon, exhaustion hit. My head throbbed. My stomach churned. My social mask, the one I had built over years, was crumbling. Even my friends looked at me differently. Some were curious, some suspicious, some plainly uncomfortable. And the whispers, God, the whispers, followed me everywhere. Back home, I locked myself in my room. I stared at the mirror, eyes wide, and thought, I can't do this. I can't be her. Not in front of everyone. My heart ached with longing, fear, and something I couldn't name, admiration maybe for the effortless way she carried herself. And yet, I hated that I was trapped in her reflection. The first night was the hardest. Every sound in the house made me jump. I imagined people discovering me, laughing, questioning, or worse, pitying me. I curled up under the covers, clutching the lipstick like it was the last piece of reality I had left. Sleep came fitfully. Dreams were twisted mirrors, showing me walking around as her, smiling and laughing, but with my own voice, my own awkwardness leaking through. I woke up drenched in sweat, my heart hammering. The next morning, things didn't get easier. Mom asked me to fetch something from the store. I dressed nervously, testing the limits of this new identity in public. Every glance from strangers felt like a spotlight. Every whisper, every lingering stare, every accidental comment from a passerby sent shivers down my spine. I realized I couldn't hide forever. This wasn't just a prank or a one-day event. The lipstick had altered me, and the world responded to the change. I was living my sister's life in fragments, navigating her beauty, her grace, her social aura, all while my mind screamed that this wasn't me. And yet, I couldn't deny the fascination. The way people reacted, the way they treated me, the subtle thrill of walking past mirrors and seeing her smiling back, it was intoxicating. Fear and embarrassment tangled with curiosity, and for the first time, I wondered, what if this isn't just a curse? What if this is an opportunity? By the end of the week, I was exhausted, socially drained, emotionally battered. But the seed of curiosity had been planted. I didn't know it yet, but this forced transformation was about to lead me down a path I never imagined. A path where I would explore, experiment, and ultimately confront a side of myself I had never allowed to exist. And that path started in secret. After days of navigating the world as my sister's double, I realized I needed time alone. The world was unforgiving. Every glance, every whisper, every judgmental stare drained me. But in the privacy of my room, behind locked doors, I could explore this strange new identity without fear. It started with the lipstick. I stared at it for hours, mesmerized. That one swipe had changed my entire life. I carefully uncapped it, feeling a shiver of anticipation. My reflection in the mirror seemed to urge me on, beckoning with her perfect, seductive smile. My fingers trembled as I applied it again, watching as my lips shimmered and glistened. The sensation was electrifying, almost like the lipstick was alive, responding to me, acknowledging me. Then came the clothes. My sister's wardrobe was a treasure trove of silk, lace, and satin. Each piece I touched sent a thrill through me. I hesitated at first. Jeans, t-shirts, hoodies, they felt safe, familiar. But the skirts, the dresses, the delicate tops, they were intoxicating. I picked a soft pink dress, trembling as I slid it over my shoulders. The fabric was cool against my skin, silky, comforting, yet alien. I spun slowly in front of the mirror, my heart racing. I didn't look like me anymore. I looked like her. I experimented with accessories next. Earrings, bracelets, necklaces. I had never cared about such things before, but now each piece seemed to complete me. The small jingling sound of bracelets against my wrist, the cool weight of a necklace resting on my collarbone, the shimmer of earrings brushing against my neck, it was sensory overload. I couldn't get enough. Makeup became my obsession. Eyeshadow, eyeliner, mascara, every stroke transformed me further. My hands shook as I applied foundation, blending it carefully over my now flawless skin. Contouring, highlighting, everything amplified the illusion. My reflection no longer startled me, it seduced me. The person in the mirror was captivating, beautiful, undeniably alluring. I practiced my voice. Speaking softly, deliberately, testing the rise and fall of pitch, the softness of consonants, the lilt of vowels. Every word felt foreign, yet strangely natural. I whispered to myself, experimenting with sentences, phrases, even little laughs. Each trial made me more aware of the power of this new persona, the ability to influence, to charm, to command attention without saying a word. Movement was next. The way I walked, sat, gestured, it all mattered. I practiced in front of the mirror, swaying hips, delicate hand movements, the subtle tilt of my head. Every motion felt exaggerated at first, awkward, almost comical. But the more I practiced, the more natural it became. I was learning to inhabit this body, this persona, with confidence, even if only behind closed doors. And then came the experiments with interaction. I called my friends, using voice filters and soft tones, testing the boundaries. Some were confused, others curious. It thrilled me. I was stepping into a world I had never dared explore, living a life I had never imagined. The fear of being discovered mingled with exhilaration, creating a heady cocktail of adrenaline and desire. I found myself fascinated by the duality, me and her, coexisting. I would touch my face, trace my lips, and feel a strange mixture of admiration and envy. She was beautiful, effortlessly so, but now I was her, at least outwardly. I could see the world reacting differently, treating me differently, even if only in my imagination. Late nights were the best. Alone, the room dim, the mirror reflecting only me, I could experiment without restraint. Hairstyling, changing outfits repeatedly, testing new makeup looks. I discovered a joy I had never known. This wasn't just imitation, it was transformation, revelation. I felt alive in a way I had never experienced. My thoughts spun with fantasies of who I could be, how far I could push this, what it would feel like to reveal, or hide, this identity in the world. Sometimes, I caught myself staring too long in the mirror, studying every detail, memorizing her face as it had become mine. I whispered almost shyly, "Who am I now?" The question lingered in the room, unanswered. I didn't know if I wanted the answer yet. Part of me was terrified of losing myself entirely, of being consumed by this persona. But another part, the part that thrilled at the curves of my new lips, the softness of my skin, the sparkle in my eyes, wanted nothing more than to explore, to push boundaries, to see how far this transformation could go. I experimented with small gestures, flirting in subtle ways online, testing the reactions of strangers. Each message, each response, made my pulse race. I felt power, allure, magnetism, all flowing from the new identity I inhabited. And yet, behind it all, I couldn't shake the underlying fear. If anyone discovered me, truly saw me, would they accept me? Would they mock me? Or worse, would they strip this newfound persona away, leaving me raw and exposed? Through it all, the lipstick remained a constant, a talisman, a key to this secret world. Without it, I wasn't sure I could sustain the illusion. I kept it close, a silent reminder that my transformation was real, that this strange, intoxicating life was mine to explore, at least for now. By the end of that week, I was different. Not just in appearance, but in spirit. The fear hadn't disappeared, it had evolved, mingled with curiosity, thrill, and an unexpected sense of freedom. I was no longer just me. I was her in part, in body and soul. And I realized that living as this doppelganger, even in secret, had awakened something deep inside me. A courage, a daring, and a fascination with identity I had never dared confront before. The weekend was coming. And with it, a new test, the outside world. I would have to leave the safety of my room, my mirror, my private playground, and step into public as someone I had never been before. It was terrifying. And thrilling. The weekend arrived faster than I expected, and with it, the ultimate test. Up until now, my experiments had been private, behind locked doors, insulated from the judgment of the world. But now, I had to step outside, to live as my sister's doppelganger in public, and face whatever consequences came with it. I stood in front of the mirror, taking a deep breath. The lipstick glistened on my lips, my hair fell perfectly around my shoulders, and my outfit, her outfit, clung to me in all the right ways. I barely recognized myself anymore. The reflection wasn't me, it was someone else, yet in some strange, profound way, it felt like me. The first step outside was terrifying. Every glance from strangers, every side eye from neighbors, made my heart race. But there was also a thrill, an electric pulse coursing through me. For the first time, I understood what it meant to captivate attention without saying a word. People smiled, nodded, complimented, even though I didn't fully know how to respond yet. The first real confrontation came at the grocery store. A group of kids from school spotted me and froze. Whispers, giggles, pointing fingers. My anxiety spiked. "Is that?" One girl whispered, her voice trembling between shock and fascination. I swallowed hard, my palms sweating, but I remembered everything I had practiced in secret: posture, voice, gestures. I smiled softly, letting my new persona take over. "Hey," I said, my voice light, melodic. I could see their confusion mix with awe. The power of this identity was undeniable. Even in fear, I felt control. Later, at a coffee shop, a stranger complimented me. Simple words, yet they hit differently. "You look amazing today." I felt my heart lift, not just because of the compliment, but because I had carried myself fully, convincingly, unapologetically. For the first time, I owned this transformation. By Sunday, something had shifted. I was no longer hiding in fear. I had navigated public spaces, faced potential ridicule, and survived. More than that, I had discovered a new version of myself. Bold, confident, intriguing, and unapologetically feminine. The lipstick was no longer a crutch. It was a symbol of possibility, of exploration, of courage. The real climax came when my sister walked in. She froze, eyes wide, staring at me as if trying to process the impossible. "Is that you?" she asked, voice trembling. I nodded slowly, meeting her gaze. "Yes. I've been exploring. Trying to understand what it feels like to be you, or to be me through you." She blinked, silence stretching, then laughed. A short, surprised, incredulous laugh. "Wow," she said, shaking her head. "You actually pulled it off." Her acceptance, her astonishment, it was transformative. I realized then that I didn't need to hide anymore. The fear of judgment had diminished, replaced by pride, curiosity, and empowerment. I had survived the weekend, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. The next days brought reflection. I experimented less obsessively, but I retained the lessons, the poise, the confidence, the ability to inhabit a new persona fully. I understood now that identity isn't fixed, it's fluid, evolving, and sometimes revealed in the most unexpected ways. I kept the lipstick, of course. But now it was a reminder, not a trap. A symbol of courage, transformation, and the power of exploring oneself. I had faced fear, embarrassment, and uncertainty, and I had emerged stronger, braver, and more in tune with myself than ever before. Looking in the mirror one last time that weekend, I smiled, not just at the reflection of my sister's face, but at me. The real me, the me that had faced every fear and embraced it. The me that had discovered the joy of self-expression, the thrill of transformation, and the courage to be unapologetically authentic. And in that moment, I understood something profound. Sometimes, the magic isn't in the lipstick. It's in the person who dares to wear it.